In this video, I'm going to teach all you parents how to stop your athletes' negative thinking. Let's get started. One of the most common problems that parents often come to me with is to try and help them get their athlete to just stop being so darn negative. It's really a common theme that I see amongst many of my clients, especially the younger, more developing athletes such as your youth, high schoolers, or even some college-aged athletes. And oftentimes I get parents that come to me certainly wanting me to help their athlete overcome their negativity, but many times parents want to know what they can do to help their athlete out as well. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 most common pieces of advice that I often tell the parents of my clients who are struggling with negativity, so that way the parents themselves can become that mechanism for change that they're looking to be. Before we dive into all that, I do have a free gift for you today for stopping by the channel. If you have an athlete that could use a boost in their mental performance, or they seem to be struggling in big spots because of stress or pressure or adversity, I want you to get over to trainwithperk.com/free guide. That free guide takes about 10 minutes to get through, and it's filled with 3 easy to install tools that your athlete can definitely use to help them better mentally prepare for their next big moment, especially if they're struggling with this negativity. We go over that in this free guide. Again, that's trainwithperk.com/free guide. All right, let's dive into tip number 1 that any parent can use to help stop their athletes' negative thinking. And tip number 1 is to take a look in the mirror. That's right. As a parent, I want you to step back and ask yourself, how many times have I shown negative or complaining or pessimistic type behavior in front of my athlete? I can't tell you the number of times where I've sat down with a set of parents who are struggling with a child who tends to be negative in sports situations, and what I hear and how I hear them talk is very interesting. Many times I hear parents complaining about the coach or the organization, or talking about all the things that they're worried about, or even kind of this negativity that they're conveying towards their child's future if they don't get this issue of their child's negativity handled. Now here's the thing, all of that is totally normal, and regardless of if it's true or not, what's really relevant here in this situation is if you as a parent have done those actions or said those things in front of your child. For example, do you complain about work or other stressful situations that are creating some sort of adversity in your life? Are you at times guilty of pessimistic thinking or pessimistic thoughts such as, well, that will never work out, or this couldn't possibly go our way? Do you voice those worries or doubts often in front of your child that show that you at times are controlled by those worries or doubts, and that maybe you're getting stuck ruminating on some of those thoughts? And when I emphasize this with parents, what often happens is they really realize that many of the behaviors and these negative thought patterns and this really just unproductive bad habit that they're seeing in their child, at times they're guilty of it. And what happens at times when I reflect this to parents is that they start to become hyper aware that the negativity that they see in their child is eerily similar to how they, the parents, tend to handle similar situations. So listen, obviously this doesn't apply to every single parent, but many times your child picked up that habit of negativity because it's been modeled to them from someone. So you need to be able to take a step back and make sure that it's not you modeling that behavior towards them. And if you realize it is you, let's start with you making an adjustment first. All right, tip number 2 is to help your child change the filter through which they see these situations. Many times young developing athletes get caught up in having just one filter in how they see and interpret some of these challenging situations. Think of it like a specific lens or a pair of glasses that they tend to choose to see the world through more often than not. And that one filter that they're seeing the world through tends to be rooted in this negativity or this pessimism, which is really just negativity conveyed towards the future. And they're not aware that there are other ways that they can look at and interpret the situation. They're not aware that there are other lenses or pair of glasses available to them. One of the exercises that I'll do with many of my athletes struggling with this is to have them write down specific situations that came up that caused them a lot of stress or adversity. And you can do this with your athlete. Then I instruct them to do something very powerful. I have them write down immediately next to that situation what was something that they learned or that they could take away from that situation that might help them again in the future if they come across the same spot. And slowly but surely, with a little bit of coaching, we start to show these athletes that these situations where they fail or they faced a lot of adversity or where they struggle, that these situations aren't all bad. Many times these situations present an opportunity for the athlete to learn and to grow and to be better for it the next time. So there is in fact some upside here, but you have to help the athlete see that. What you're also showing the athlete is that there's many different points of view that they can take when they look at these situations, and rarely are all of them negative. All right, tip number 3 is to have them practice more gratitude. Research has shown that if you have your child write down 5 things that they are grateful for each day, their overall life satisfaction will increase, their overall happiness will increase, and their overall resilience to the stress of life will also go up. When you have them engage in this gratitude exercise, slowly but surely you're conditioning their mind to become a mind that is more optimistic. And all optimism is a habit in which we just choose to convey positivity towards the future and future situations, which is the exact opposite of pessimism. And if there's one thing that I see that this generation of athletes really struggle with, it's pessimism. So anything that we can do to combat that is going to go a long way. Another thing you can consider doing as a parent is to engage in the gratitude practice with them. Every single day, it's very simple. You can just share something that you're grateful for or the best part of your day that day. If you've gotten value from the video so far, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. It really does go a long way in supporting the channel and this video. Tip number 4 is to teach them reality checking thoughts. Children who have unhelpful thoughts about their situation are often quite stressed, and this translates into them just choosing to be negative about their sport or school or just life situations in general. So when you hear your child saying things like, I hate myself, or I can't do it, or I'll never be good enough, I want you to get them in the habit of asking themselves these follow-up questions. The first question is, what am I saying to myself about this situation? The second is, how true is this thought? And a third is saying this thing to myself helpful or productive to me? And lastly, of course, and maybe the most beneficial, is what could I say to myself instead that would be far more productive to me in this situation? It's important to encourage your child to challenge this negative line of thinking, because what that does is it creates some space between them and this negative thought, which makes it far more likely that they're not going to allow that negativity to impact what they do or impact their behavior. Tip number 5 is to help them solve their own problems. Many times the negativity that's occurring in your child is due to a specific problem that they are facing, a specific challenge, or a specific piece of adversity that's popped up in their life. Once you've done a few of the previous 4 tips that we've talked about in this video, I want you to have them write down at the top of a sheet of paper what their problem is and then brainstorm with them potential solutions. Many parents, because of that natural instinct to be protective, try to take actions or just try to solve the problem for the child without any input from the child themselves. And this is really unproductive for the child, because what it reinforces in them is that they are not accountable for their own life or the challenges that they incur. And it also hurts their confidence, because if you solve the problem for them, what right do they have to feel confident in themselves that they can solve their own problems? We don't want that. We want to work with them to come up with a solution, with a line of action, and then build a system around them that keeps them accountable to those necessary decisions. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure that you get over there, trainwithperk.com/free guide. I'll see you next week.